Hi, my name is Claire, and I dated my professor. It sounds like I'm in a Professor Lovers Anonymous group, but I really do need help. Have you ever heard of a story like this ending well? Listen to mine, and don't judge me. Almost every girl at the university had a crush on him. It was the second class, and we were waiting for our new philosophy professor. My first thought was that he should be in movies. After all, you can only get a body like that at the gym, not by sitting in the library. His face and that masculine gaze, God, he looked unbelievably amazing. Not surprisingly, there were always tons of girls at his lectures. I knew it was stupid to fantasize about my hot professor, until suddenly, he smiled at me during a lecture. This started to happen every class. I came to lecture and would wait for Mr. Hendricks to look at me. I would worry and get nervous if I couldn't catch his eye for a while. But when he finally looked at me, everything inside me froze. It was totally harmless, until he asked me out on a date. One day, after a lecture, he called me over and asked if I would like to get coffee with him. Wow, the hottest teacher on campus was coming on to me. That meant I didn't have to worry about my philosophy grade. Plus, I'm an adult. What's wrong with just having coffee with the professor after class? I thought. When David and I met up, he told me to call him by his first name. He completely took over my thoughts. He was 32 at the time, 12 years older than me. At the end of the date, I was just floating with happiness. We moved towards each other slowly. He spoke more and more quietly. I was expecting him to kiss me. But no! I was so embarrassed. It only got better from there. David texted me and invited me over to his place. I agreed. It was very exciting to go to his house, but I wondered how far he was willing to go. I stood in front of his house and wondered what might happen next. The feeling overtook me. The girls get what I mean. When David opened the door, the way he looked at me gave me goosebumps. Even then, I knew that I would do anything he asked me to. After dinner, we went into the living room, and David put an old record on. I really hoped he wouldn't ask me to dance, but instead, he kissed me. It should be illegal for a philosophy professor to be this amazing. It was the best kiss I've ever had. We didn't just kiss, and although it wasn't my first time, with him, it was completely new, unforgettable. But this is not a story about how I was used. No, the drama happened later. We started dating secretly. I would come over to his house or we would get a hotel room. We even went on vacation several times together. It went on for 3 years. 3 years. Hiding our relationship from everyone all the time wasn't easy. Going to all your friends' parties without a boyfriend, listening to sympathetic speeches about getting lucky and meeting someone soon, not to mention all the girls that would look at David not knowing he was mine. I did introduce my new boyfriend to my mother on our 3rd anniversary, and she really liked him. As I thought about the last 3 years, I imagined what dress I would wear on our wedding day. After all, once I graduated from college, we could get married and stop hiding. But then I discovered what a scumbag David is. I wasn't the only one planning my wedding with him. One day, I dropped by David's office after class and saw him talking sweetly with one of my classmates. She was obviously flirting with him, and I knew that girl was a pfft. She has a new boyfriend every month. That evening, I talked to David about it, and he told me that I was imagining things and there was nothing going on between them. But later, I found out that this girl was bragging to everyone about her relationship with the philosophy professor. I was fuming. What right did she have to claim my boyfriend as her own? I decided to put the bitch in her place and told her that I had been dating him for 3 years and she had better stay away. Do you know what she told me? She told me to chill because he is her boyfriend and they have been together for several months, and that just yesterday he was shouting her name and God's after what she did for him in his car. I had never felt so humiliated. I was crushed. I needed to hear the truth from David. After I told him everything, he confessed that they did have several dates over the last few months, but he had never given her a reason to consider them a couple. He confessed to hooking up with other girls from the university and how tormented he had been for deceiving me. He told me it meant nothing, that they were just one-night stands and what we had was serious. Did he really think that explanation would pacify me? I yelled at him and hit him. When I calmed down, he explained that he couldn't help himself. Many girls wanted him and flirted with him every day, and sometimes it was hard for him to turn them down. It was all just physical, but his feelings for me were real. He begged me to forgive him and promised that it would never happen again. I am still working through our breakup, but I keep in touch with him. I graduated and moved to another city, and David still teaches at the university. He often texts me, begging for another chance, but I'm afraid to trust him again. Do you think a person can really change? Well, that was my story. If you have had a similar experience, write it in the comments. My advice to you is, don't date your professors. It will end badly.
Hello, I'm Michael. I'm 22 years old, and in any confusing situation, I laugh. Even when I'm sad, even when it's completely inappropriate, even when I don't feel like it at all. I just can't control it. The fact is that I'm sick, and one of the symptoms of my illness is pseudobulbar syndrome. Such a complicated name. Simply put, it's uncontrollable laughter syndrome. My first vivid memory of a laughing fit was when I was at my uncle's funeral. I was 13 years old at the time, and during the ceremony, when everyone was holding back tears, I could not hold back my laughter. I laughed hysterically for almost 3 minutes, and everyone just stared at me with wide eyes. I was terribly embarrassed. I wanted to bury myself in the ground, but I could not do anything about it. I also had many embarrassing moments at school. Sometimes the older kids even beat me up because they thought I was laughing at them. But I really got into trouble when our plump, strict literature teacher, Mr. Mayweather, who loved spicy tacos, made a nasty sound right in the middle of class. Everyone, of course, pretended not to notice anything, and I was about to do the same, but instead, I burst into raucous, uncontrollable laughter. To this day, I never know when it's going to happen. Without fail, it happens when I'm experiencing strong emotions. So, when I found out that my idol, Keith Flint, was gone, I laughed for about 2 minutes, just like I did after watching the last episode of Game of Thrones. Despite all this, I'm lucky. First of all, my parents are very supportive of me. I know a lot of people whom I've met on the internet with the same problem, and not everyone has been as fortunate as me. Many of them became outcasts not only in society, but also in their own families. I also have a girlfriend. I met Mona on the internet. Before her, I had no luck with the opposite sex. My first date, when I was 18, lasted about 2 minutes. The amount of time I spent laughing. We had just met when she ran her hand through her long, beautiful hair, and it triggered my laugh attack. The second time, with a different girl, we had managed to make it to a cafe and place an order when it happened again. She didn't run away, but quickly finished eating her pasta, skipped dessert, and left in a hurry regarding an emergency. She didn't answer my calls after that. With Mona, everything is different. She, like me, has multiple sclerosis. She doesn't suffer from pathological laughter, but she gets me and doesn't run away when it happens. I understand that I'm not doing well and my prospects for the future are not encouraging. But instead of crying, I laugh, albeit arbitrarily. Perhaps now, if you meet someone like me on the street, you won't judge him, call him names, or point a finger at him. Hopefully, you'll understand that he just has problems for which there is no medicine yet. Oh man, I wish you all a good laugh and thank you for listening to my story.